President J.D. Vance in the event Donald Trump has left instructions for his own death. This afternoon, the president has confirmed he has left a letter for Vice President J.D. Vance in the event of his death. In the event Iran were to assassinate Donald Trump, J.D. Vance is instructed, according to Trump, to bomb them like we've never seen before. The exact quote is to bomb them at levels they've never seen before. And it comes as a Trump Lego effigy has been burned in Tehran, the capital of Iran. It comes as Kill Trump signs are plastered all over downtown Tehran as millions come out to mourn the late Ayatollah Khamenei. And while here in the United States, Trump acknowledges that Iran may be planning to kill him. So much so that he did not take the newly minted Qatari Air Force One jet from Turkey back home. Why? Because of security concerns. And now Trump has made plans for if he were to die. Follow for more. Donald Trump has left instructions.
Organizers say that millions of people are now gathering here in the streets of Tehran. The body of the late Supreme Leader is right there on a truck being brought through the streets of this city. We're going to see if we can get on top of this fire truck to get a wider view of the crowds. They seem to be letting us. The truck is moving very slowly through the streets of Tehran because of the crowds. Just a sea of flags and crowds as far as the eye can see. This is a ritual of mourning, but it is also a political rally, a way for the government to show that it is still in charge, that from many Iranians' perspective, it won the war despite being attacked by the United States and Israel. There are millions of people in the streets of this city, according to organizers, and it may be one of the biggest public funerals anywhere in modern history. So they let us on the truck. Now we're going to see if we can get deeper into the crowds. You can hear, once again, the shouts of death to America. That is something we've been hearing throughout this mourning ritual, throughout this week of activities. People say they want revenge. They want the war to be over, but they say that the death of the late Supreme Leader must be avenged. Some people have said that President Donald Trump must be killed for the war that he launched with Israel against this country. So this is both a funeral procession and something of a victory parade for this country. Many Iranians, of course, do not support this government, aren't on the streets today. And just a few months ago, there was a mass protest movement that was brutally crushed, trying to overthrow the regime. Now, we don't see the opposition on the streets. We don't hear from them. This is a way for the government to show that it is firmly in control. Organizers say...
All right, Shalom Israel. All praise, honor, and glory goes to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah Kodash, for allowing me to do another lesson. Yahweh is who the world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is his son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, and there's no God beside them. Double honors to the elder apostles and the elder bishops of Great Millstone for being faithful witnesses to the Holy Spirit. Salutations to the elect whom the Lord hath given ears to hear. Now, I just want to get a little quick hit in. So it's going down, and the fire is going to continue to rise between America and Iran as Israel continues to pour gasoline, so to speak, on the Lebanon situation, because Iran is pissed at Israel, for what it's doing to Lebanon. In which case, America, being on Israel's side, is siding with Israel, knowing damn well they effed up. There's plenty of times where Trump would call for a ceasefire, and then Israel would do something to continue or to, go against that ceasefire. Okay? And this is all written of in the scriptures. All of the things that's happening right now, these are all written of in the scriptures. It's written that eventually, America is going to go down to the Middle East. Right? That's written of in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 15th chapter. And All right, this is the book of 2nd Ezra 15 and 28. Right? So you understand prophecy, you know that things must get worse. This is why President Trump had to be um initiated once more. Because he's the man that'll make things get a lot worse. Right? He being Esau Edom knows how to swing that sword, all right, to get his point across. And then you have on the other side where the Carmenians or the Iranians, they not backing down. They're not your average enemy. Right? And as the saying goes, fire against fire begets more fire. So this is the book of 2nd Ezra 15 and 28. Behold in horrible vision and the appearance thereof from the east. Salakia, I felt like I should have played. Let me put my phone on do not disturb actually. I feel like I should have played the Iranian thing before the Trump, where he feel like he's going to be assassinated. Oh, and another thing, I was thinking about when I first heard Trump putting out orders to where if he were to get offed, to keep telling JD Vance to keep doing his thing as far as, keep coming at Iran. Remember, they show that in the Simpsons, right?
Millions of people are.
Donald Trump will die on March 14th, 2026, and The Simpsons. Donald Trump will die on March 14th, 2026, and The Simpsons already predicted it. In a controversial episode of The Simpsons, one that many tried to hide, there's a shocking scene clearly shown next to a terrifying headline, Donald Trump found dead. And it doesn't stop there. In the episode, Trump is shown inside a luxurious room, surrounded by secret documents, nervously talking on the phone, when suddenly he collapses. The clock on the wall stops exactly at 7 a.m. The creepiest part, just seconds before, the camera focuses on a newspaper lying on the floor with the phrase, someone very powerful will be silenced. A strange shadow appears, reflected in the glass just moments before it all happens. Who is it? This episode was never officially aired. It briefly circulated online and then mysteriously disappeared. But here's what makes it even stranger. The date shown in the episode was blurred out. Only a few frames reveal something chilling. Fans who slowed it down claim there was a hidden message in the background, a coded warning no one noticed before. Why was the episode removed so quickly? Who didn't want it to be? Donald Trump will die. Donald Trump will die 2026, and The Simpsons already predicted it. In a controversial episode of The Simpsons, one that many tried to hide, there's a shocking scene clearly shown next to a terrifying headline, Donald Trump found dead. And it doesn't stop there. In the episode, Trump is shown inside a luxury.
Yeah, so I'm not an avid watcher. I'm reading through the comments to see what other people were saying. But if you notice, over the past couple of years, there was various attempts on Trump's life. So it's only a matter of time. And as we're reading through, something's going to happen where things get escalated. So that's why I thought, that could very well happen to where this guy gets offed. Because again, as we're reading, right, beholding horrible vision and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them. Right? So pretty much it's all started when the small hats, the Israelis, were coming at the Arab, Lebanese. So pretty much Iran got hold, and they wanted to back their country, and then America is coming at Iran. So again, as we read through the procession of prophecy, we see this coming to pass. Okay, America's eventually going to have to come and dip their foot in the pool. They're going to have to get wet, right? And they're going to run into a trap. So it says, "Well, the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. Also, the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come, and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, and if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them." All right. So there's a lot being said here. Let me It says, "Also, and the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians." In this aspect, the land of the Assyrians, also known as Babylon the Great, is talking about America. Those Iranians, they're going to fuck up, the American military. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. The dragons going into Ishmael. The scriptures say that Ishmael is known as a wild man, right? He will always. Let me just grab it. Going into because it says, dragons are remembering their nature, right? Genesis 16 and 11. "And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art with child, and shalt bear a son, and thou shalt call his name Ishmael, because the Lord hath heard my affliction." Right? Yashamayallah. It says, and he will be a wild man. Let's look up that word wild, actually. Wild going into wild ass. So it says from H6500. I wonder why it says that. Para. The secondary sense of running wild. Okay, in the secondary sense of running wild, the onager, a wild ass. Now let's do something else. Since the onager, also known as the Asiatic wild ass, is a notoriously untamable, highly adapted herbivore native to arid environments across Central and Southwest Asia. They possess incredible physical endurance and unique stubborn temperaments that keep them wild. So this is who you're dealing with. That's why for decades they've been having problems. It says, when I say they, I'm talking about America and Israel. They've been having problems with the Arabs, right? Remember the scriptures tell us that pretty much when this devil would get set up, he would have issues with them. You will find that in the book of Obadiah, the first chapter, where it speaks on we'll grab it afterwards because I forgot how it goes, but it says, "And shall call his name Ishmael, because the Lord have heard thy affliction, and he will be a wild man. His hand will be against every man, and every man's hand will be against him. And he shall dwell in the presence of all his brethren. Okay. The book of Obadiah 1:1. It says, the vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord God concerning Edom. We have heard a rumor from the Lord, an ambassador is sent among the heathen. Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Right? And that ambassador is Gamar Abdul Nasir. Right? To where he pretty much spoke out against Esau Edom, that being the small hats in the land today. All right? Because they're not the true people. And historically it is understood that that's a fact. One of his sayings was, you will never live here in peace. Right? And you know, when the devils got the land, literally, when they got the land, it was 6-day war, if I'm not mistaken. Right? So from then until now, it was never peaceful. 1 second. The book of 2nd Ezra, back of 2nd Ezra 15. And where were we? Salakia. Yeah, it says, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, then these shall be trouble-bled, and keep silence through their power, and shall flee. Right? So this is a narration of a great ass whooping that's coming to Babylon. Right? The American military get messed up. It says, and from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them, and consume some of them, and in their hosts shall be dread and fear, and strife among their kings. Right? If I'm not mistaken, right, some of these, the Iranians and Arabs, is going to set things off over here in the land of Assyria. All right? Also known as sleeper cells. And it says, behold, clouds from the east and from the north. And remember, that's how you know all this shit is really set up. Because remember, there was a lot of undocumented migration during the time of the Biden administration. Right? So that still goes unaccounted for. Whereas many people, you know, it says there's still various sleeper cells. It says in this land. Right? And as we read, of course, we know it's prophecy. And it says, behold, clouds from the east, from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star, and blood shall be from the sword unto the belly. So it's going to be a lot of heavy artillery being used, right? The stars going into the missiles. You can find that Revelation 16 and 13, to where that's going to add to a lot of unaliving and dung of men upon the camel's hoof, Salakia. And there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon earth. And they that see the wrath, and you know, when you read the book of Ezekiel 39, this also fits, pretty much goes inside of this prophecy, to where in the aftermath of World War III, which is what we're reading about, right, there's going to be a lot of dead bodies. All right, you're talking about various nations with heavy artillery, America being a great military power. And then, according to other scriptures like Ezekiel 38, you know, Russia's going to join forces as they are backing Iran, as the scriptures call it, Persia. You know, and this is going to be a great bloodbath. So it says, and dung of men unto the camel's hoof, and there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon earth. And they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them. And then shall there come great storms from the south and from the north, and another part from the west. Right? And as you see, in other words, the Assyrians, aka the Babylonian military, is going to get attacked from all sides. And strong winds shall arise from the east, and shall open it, and the cloud which he raised up in wrath, the star stirred to cause fear toward the east and west wind, shall be destroyed. The great and mighty cloud shall be puffed up full of wrath, and the star, that they make all the earth afraid. And them that dwell therein, and they shall pour out every high eminent place and horrible star. All right. And this is how you know it's going to get bad. Right? Because those stars, it says in horrible star. Right? And obviously it's not just talking about a star, because you know, a man can't pour a star on somebody, for one, and what makes it horrible. All right. So this is talking about this is symbolizing something else, which again, that horrible star is reminiscent of missiles. Right? So as we read through, it's going to get ugly before it gets pretty. And the only time it will get pretty is after this man is taken out. Right? And that's fitting, because remember, Yahweh Shai said, he that liveth by the sword shall die by the sword. Okay? So we gotta stand by and watch. And we know it's gonna get bad. I wanna highlight the brother where this guy goes into a full spectrum survival. But I wanna highlight the brother Ayashima from the Mississippi camp. I know he's been following it a lot closer, really closely. His page is GMS Kingdom Minded. If I'm not mistaken, I know the brother goes live every morning. I believe. I know he was getting into it real heavy before. I mean, okay, this was one like 2 weeks ago. Check the brother out. He goes, and it's a lot going on. It's a lot to follow. It's a lot to speak on. It's a lot that essentially, it's a lot that essentially surrounds this devil's downfall. So the brother's on his watch. I say check him out and be edified. But again, it's going to get bad before it gets better. Hell, it's going to get nuclear bad. Weapons of mass destruction bad. Remember, these nations that's going to fight in that war, they all have weapons that can neutralize this big bully. And eventually, even America's allies going to shit on this place. Right? It's going to go all bad for this place. It started bad and it's going to end bad. Hey, so with that, shalom to the elect.